And next we will have 4 short presentations from Particia Wiklund, Johanna Hyrkäs, Mikael Westermark, and John Zerihoun. And let's take the questions after these 4 short presentations at the time. So welcome, Particia. Right. Can we have a signal that I just show you? Yes. Okay, wonderful. And I have a signal there for my 10 minutes. So now I feel prepared. Isn't REED incredible? Because it's really an integrator and something that makes us interact in so many different ways. So I think it's really amazing to see so many people of you here and so many different angles of REED that we're going to hear about today. So very happy about that. I actually changed my topic to webs instead of change, because what I will show you here briefly, especially from the Åland cases, but also from the southwest of Finland where we've been working, we have realized that it's all about webs, because there are so many interaction loops and feedback loops and dependencies happening when we are working with REED. So that's why I wanted to talk about webs instead of chains. I'm also going to be here today probably presenting a little bit of a different point of view, because we've been working now with REED actively for maybe 4 or 5 years already. And during that time, we've had sort of soul search ourselves quite a lot and trying to find the right angle how to work with REED. And it is this point of view that I will just give you a glimpse of today, because my presentation is really short. But you will get an idea of our thinking a little bit. On the left-hand side there, you see a little bit what my company Invenire is working with. We call ourselves a Making Ideas Happen agency, because we went from consultants to actually trying to really be the feet on the ground and do things practically and learn by doing things as well. And this is especially true for the REED. One thing that we learned very early about REED is what you see a little bit of an example of here on the picture. I took this a few days ago. It's from a riding paddock. And during these 5 years, I've started to really feel like I have a very sort of intimate relationship with REED nowadays, because we have it just outside where I live and I get to see it every day and I follow its cycle and in what state it is and so on. I can imagine that some of the people in this room have the same disease nowadays, that you have sort of the focus on REED and you start looking at it all the time. This is from a riding paddock where I, with great amusement, follow the battle between the rider and the REED, because obviously the REED is not supposed to be there, but it wants to be there on the riding paddock. And this summer has been a battle with, I don't know, everything from digging to shredding to tramping to not poisons, because they don't want to use that, but everything else. And you can see the REED is pretty happy and it's coming up again, no problem. So what we learn from REED is that we have to collaborate with REED. We can't fight against REED. And when we started our projects some time ago, we explored all the different business models that we could, because I come also from an economic background. And we were looking at what had been done before. There's been so many cycles around REED of interest. And we explored all these options, and they sort of clustered together these business models into the left-hand side or the right-hand side. And we really got excited about the right-hand side, and that is the path we've been on ever since. And it's all about sort of trying to be very closely looped, because we are in circular economy, very landscape-based, which is a concept I could talk a long time about. And also emergent, and we have a living system approach in the way we work. So we have to just do steps and see where it takes us, and every time there's a new learning and we can move forward. And while we are learning, we are doing. Here's just a timeline to show a little bit of the different projects we've been involved with that have some kind of connection to REED. Many of them are on the Åland Islands, but we've also been in the southwest coast of Finland. And I'll show you a little bit what has been done in the projects, but in general, it sort of is an emergent process, as I said. And from every project, we have learnings that we can move into the next one. And now we're currently in the last one there. That is the one currently running Agro Aqua REED, which is based on the Åland Island. I'll talk a little bit about that in the end. With REED, it's also interesting Because one thing that in the beginning we had grasslands as well. And for me, working quite a lot with grasslands in general, it's quite interesting to look at reed, because if we take a more agricultural approach to reed, it is a little bit, it's a great grass. I mean, it's a beautiful agricultural product, but it grows a little bit inconveniently between land and water, and normally a little bit on both. And if you are keen artist, or you like to paint, you know that if you mix the blue and the green, you will get something called teal, which is an interesting color of the area in between. And these borders are important, because I think innovation often comes when you are in this borderline sort of area. So now we're a border between the land and the sea, between Finland and Åland, between agriculture and aquaculture. And we've been sort of exploring this interesting field that quite often is a little bit of a no man land. And in these teal fields, then, if we connect the two, there is one thing that is really important, and every farmer will know that, and that is when you are working with grass and grass management, it's all about timing. So if we want to have these really interesting products that are specified for the need we have, the special thing with reed is that it's a different product all year round, and the people who are here harvesting reed, they know this very well. And if we want this good management of it, we have to, from our point of view, we have to sort of manage it a little bit like we would be managing other grasses on our fields. So that is one very important point that we have with us in our projects as well. One thing there in our line of projects that we had is that we worked with something called Hungry for Saltvik some years ago, which was quite a big project. And in that, we were working with nutrient management and nutrient cycling. And we worked with concepts called agroecological symbiosis. It's still difficult to say that word after so many years. And in those symbioses, you are looking for ways that different actors can work together and create something locally by exchanging raw materials or energy use or something else. And that basic model is the model that we have taken with us into these new projects as well. And what you create there is something that is incredibly local. And this also sort of is, with these models, it's sort of challenging this problem with the long logistical chains and all that, because we really want to work totally locally. We also want to embed it in the landscape. And that means that every time it is context specific. So we have to know what kind of landscape we're working with. What are we trying to do with that landscape? How are we wanting it to be in the future? And who are the actors who are actually invested in that landscape, because they are the ones that are going to take care of this for a long time, and they are the ones that need to be active also in the management of this beautiful grass. And it also comes to that normally you don't do it alone, you have to work together with others to do it. And the other things that we've been focusing on is that to try to keep it pretty close, very simple, as little, I wouldn't say as little technology as possible, but not going on the high tech track. Being very adaptive and very agile as well, because when you're working with this, you keep having to change your concept. And most important, in tandem with nature. So you have to really work with nature and not against nature. And what are we then creating? What are these values in this web that we are creating? Well, we are creating feed security, nutrient recovery, improved soils, cost reduction, collaboration, biodiversity, ecosystem functions, beauty, and community. These are the key words for us. Problem for many here is that might be that there is not a great gain of money in this. It might be that the values come embedded in that landscape, and there probably is not one actor that can make a huge pile of money in this. So that is something that is a little bit embedded in these kind of models as well. And what we then done is during these projects, I'll just take you down memory lane quickly here with some of these projects. So we started very, very small because we just needed to know, can we get the reed up from the water? And now we are in a process currently where we are trying to find a good working model in a more sort of middle size, but we're still pretty small. So here is from one of our first practical projects where we were on the traditional route of having a truxar, picking up the reed, cutting below water. Then when we came to land, we needed to shred it somehow, and then we used it locally in a greenhouse as one example. This was as cover. And then the next one. Then last year we moved on. We have our nice Swedish friends here that we worked together with, and they brought us so many new insights, for instance, about cutting above water and also having the reed crushed before it comes to ground. And here is one example of a test that we're doing where we are buying a bioreactor of reed, and we have some beautiful results of that one. And here's another from the same session where we made feed, which is also in good collaboration with Swedish Agricultural University. And here we were just trying to get it baled. There's still work to do with that. And we did two things. We made silage and we made hay. And both had incredibly good results, and we were incredibly happy about that. And it started to really get people excited about it. Sorry. And now we are on that big question now, that how can we move further in this? How can we really integrate reed into the existing agriculture systems? And this means that how can we actually start using the existing machineries that are there? How can we, small adjustments, how can we make it possible to happen? And this is the current phase. I don't have any results for you yet because we're currently working on it. That project currently is until 2025. And to let you digest all this, what I said very quickly, some beautiful footage from last year when the sheep that everyone claimed that they don't eat reed, but if it's a very well done hay, they will. And the beautiful thing with this is also that first they eat it and then they use the rest of it as straw. So you have a double use of that. So this is Åland. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Johanna Hyrkäs, and I'm sorry I can't be there in person today, but I'm still super happy to be talking about my favorite subject here, which is using raw earth in construction. My background is in architecture, and I'm also working on a PhD at Aalto University currently, and I'm about to graduate as a professional clay builder as well. So let's go. So before getting to the read, I need to talk a little bit about other stuff, so bear with me. So the goal of my PhD research is to bring into present day this about 100 years old material, and I'm doing that by developing the technical qualities and also adding the circular economy point of view to the production. And the first few words about clay itself. Clay is super interesting, actually, to me at least. Apart from being very small, like smaller than 2 microns, which is 2 millionth parts of 1 meter. And actually the smallest clay particles are of nano size, we know by now, in contrast to this image. The form and the shape of the clay particles is very different from the others, like silt or sand, which are pretty much round. So the clay particles are this kind of thin platelets, and the form comes from the chemical composition, which also results to the binding force between the platelets, which means that the clay particles, when the clay dries, it's not held together by friction only, like other soil matters. It's actually held together by electrostatic forces. So where do you actually get this wonderful material? It's plenty in Finland. Actually, there is so much of clay in Finland that we throw away a lot of it. For example, 2 million tons of it are actually transported under the construction sites only in the capital region every year. And that's because we simply cannot build on it. You have to stabilize it or take it away. So the light part of the clay, why do you have to make it lighter? The simple answer is to enhance the insulation capacities. And the definition of light clay is a density below 1,200 kilograms per cubic meter. And you achieve this by mixing clay, heavy clay, with lighter stuff, like in my case, organic fibers. And the fibers I'm interested in are this kind of surplus or waste streams, for example, demolition wood, straw, and then, of course, reed. The composition of different kinds of plant fibers is very similar to each other. So all of them have cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin, and the proportion of the components varies a little bit, and then there are some additional stuff like ash or extractives in wood. And all of this, of course, the proportions and all of the ingredients have an effect on the properties of the material. How do you then make light clay? It's actually super simple. So this is the basic process. You take heavy fat clay and mix it with water in order to create this kind of thin clay slip, and then you add some fibers to the slip and mix it. So this is the very simplified version, but this works, and it has worked for 100 years already. And then you press the material into a form or a mold, and you create some kind of on-site casted structures or building products like blocks or sheets. And you can develop all kinds of structures out of this. This is a very little researched area, albeit there are small companies producing raw earth construction products in, for example, Germany and Britain and France. But to bring this light earth into a stage where a commercial product development could start, my research aims on eliminating the risk of any kind of mold growth, which is essential when we're dealing with this kind of wet materials which dry relatively slowly. And second point is enhancing coherence. If you want to use this material, the transportation to the building site and use it at the building site, it has to be coherent and durable enough to handle. And then I'm focusing on improving different kind of technical properties like mechanical properties and thermodynamic properties. We already know that this kind of raw earth, also mixed with organic fibers, has a very several good properties. For example, it balances humidity by being very hygroscopic, so it absorbs and desorbs moisture, stabilizing humidity in room air. When it's heavier, it provides thermal mass, which in itself stabilizes the room temperature. It doesn't emit any kind of toxins. In fact, it seems to absorb toxins from the room air. When it's local and based on these circular economy streams, it's extremely low carbon. It can be returned to its original state because there is no chemical binding. It can be returned to its original state just by adding water, and thus it's basically infinitely reusable. And that makes the production also waste-free because you can always return the mass back to the beginning of the production line, and it's easily repairable. So when it comes to reed, it's an excellent material for light earth. It's naturally resistant towards moisture, and it's also very insulative. And we had a chance to work with Nurminen Säätiö, and we got some reed last winter, and we transported it to Kerava, and Collective Jalotus, in cooperation with them, we held some workshops to increase the public awareness that you can actually use these kind of materials to construct real houses, and that's what we are going to do next summer. We are going to build a small one-family house in Kerava with this material, which will be, of course, tested and developed before that. And I will be continuing my research. From this fall, I'll be focusing on fibers, also reed, hopefully. I've already studied clay and testing the clay methods and different kinds of finished clays for 1 year. And the year after the next one, the last year of my PhD, I'll be focusing on different kind of mixes and products. And the variables are plenty, since there is so little research on this and little product development. So there are lots of possibilities to manipulate the mixing and the end product. So this is very interesting field of study. So to sum up, light clay is an insulating infill material, so it's not load bearing, and reed works really well in this material, and we will know hopefully in the future whether some commercial applications can be produced. The light clay can be casted to forms on site, or it can be made to pre-made building products. It can be based on circular flows, and it's extremely low carbon, biodegradable, and even fire resistant. So I'm super happy to answer any questions you might have. You can find my contact details there. And I wish you very nice continuation of the day. Thank you.
The Stalk-project, led by the University of Tampere, is studying the possibilities of using stalk in construction. Stalk materials are attracting great interest, as these annually renewable materials could sequester a significant amount of carbon dioxide and excess nutrients from waterways, and store them in buildings for a long time without reducing the carbon sink. Clay, on the other hand, could be obtained cheaply and with low emission, for example from excavation sites, and it can be used to increase the fire safety of structures. This project, funded by the Ministry of the Environment, companies, and the Foundation for the Quality of Construction Products, examines whether nature-based buildings with more than 2 stories could be built in Finland as well, thus achieving greater positive climate impacts in the construction industry. The study will be carried out until end of 2024, and it will be divided into 4 work packages. Reed is used as raw material in work packages 2 and 3. The development of the reed board is carried out by Southeastern Finland University of Applied Sciences. Its aim is to develop heat-insulating, strong enough building board suitable for plastering substrates from shredded lake reed stalks, the production of which uses bio-based binders. The goal is a porous wind protection board suitable for external insulation of a wooden structure, and a dense building board for the inner surface of the structures. The raw material of the reed board developed uses reed harvested in the winter. Starch is used as a binder for the board structure. Shredded reed and starch are made into a solid board structure with the help of heat and pressure. The suitability of reed board as a building board will be tested with mechanical and building physical tests. The use of bio-based insulation in the structures requiring fire safety has been challenging due to Finnish fire standards. The goal of clay mortar product development is an A-class surface material with good fire protection capability. To extend the fire protection time of the mortar, finely shredded biomaterials, such as wood, lake reed, hemp straw, sheep's wool, and biochar made from these, were mixed into the clay. However, biomaterials can only be added according to their calorific value to the extent that they remain in class A2. The viscosity of the clay was determined with a cone dropper, and the test pieces were made with a 3D printed mold. Clay mortars were then optimized based on combustion tests with a cone calorimeter device. In addition to the fire classification test of the material, it was measured in what time the temperature rises to 270 degrees Celsius on the unexposed side of the test piece, where the wood structure begins to char. Based on preliminary fire results, the fire protection period depends on the biomaterial content of the clay mass, and not only on its density, as previously assumed. The table shows that a clay mortar, containing 16% lake reed, can provide a 10-minute fire protection time with a layer thickness of about 13 mm. With conventional commercial clay mortars with a biomaterial content of about 3%, a layer thickness of about 18 mm is required to achieve the same fire protection time. In the future, the study of the mechanical and building physical properties of developed product prototypes will begin. A fire simulation will be carried out using clay mortar values to see how the project's products could be used in a building that requires fire safety. Samples of both product prototypes will be available at this demonstration. Thank you for your interest. For more information, do not hesitate to contact us.
Hoppla. All right, so thank you again, Sonja, and the team over here at John Nurminen for having us. And we will have a little bit of a different take than the other ones that has been presenting. It's been really interesting to hear and exciting to see the other versions of using straws, using reeds instead of what we do, the straws. So Ross is a company over in Östergötland in Norrköping, Sweden. And basically founded on the premises, most likely you saw the sea turtle about 15 years ago with a plastic straw in his nose that everyone was panicking about and thought it was horrible. And of course, we had a situation with 440 billion straws used over the world, and they were all plastic. And they came to a ban. So there was an opening in the market. So we have a business case that we're going to show you a little bit about today that we worked from. And so the company started making straws and tried to replace the plastic that's going to be taken away, and now is taken away. So go ahead. So they said that straws are unsustainable and unnatural, and they were, for sure. And we turned that around and we said, please go ahead now. We say that raws are sustainable and natural. You can actually make a problem into a solution. And we, in Östergötland, we have an archipelago with Sankt Anna and two big bays of Bråviken and Slätbaken with acres of reeds, which is obviously a problem as everywhere else and for the fishes and then the environment over there. So we took a look at that and said, hey, you could actually make a straw out of it. And it's pretty cool. It looks really, really nice in the drink. Please remember that next time you have a drink. You can dishwash them at home, which is really reusable. If you don't want to do it, you can throw it by your flowers and it's going to be gone very soon. So we started to make straws out of that. And of course, that comes and go on. Into some situation that we had to look at. So locally produced, we wanted to be really local. And basically we are between 20 minutes to 40 minutes away from where we produce them, where we actually gather the reeds. So it's really locally. From the point where the reeds comes into our workshop until they actually package, takes about a day, which is pretty cool. There's no chemical added to it, the process at all. We just clean them up, we cut them up, we put them into an ozone layer room for a couple of hours to a night just to get bacteria off and all of that, and they're ready to go. Isn't that neat? It's pretty cool. Of course, we realized that for us to work with the market with this 440 billion straws used, there's just not enough reeds in the area. We cannot harvest and make it up to satisfy the whole market. So we decided that we're not going to be a straw for McDonald's or Hesburger. I think it's over here in Finland, right? It's not good. Someone else has to finish that product and make that for the market, because they're going to go for volume and price, and we can't really do that. So we came up with a model where we're going for some high-end restaurants over in Stockholm, Stureplansgruppen and all of those, and they really love our products. And then we're looking for events. This would be a great event next time for Jon Nurminen to have some straws over that. We're actually going to be the first straw to be on yachts, on the Monaco Yacht Show next week, when they do the first drone platform. You can actually order your products if you have your boat outside from the harbor, and you will fly them out, and they're going to be flying out some straws to these markets. So it's pretty cool, and that's an upper high end for us to be at. So we have the good margins to work with this. So it's a great business case for us, of course. Over at the American market, we're now talking with Las Vegas hotels because we created a machine where we're able. This is a node-free, and as you know, there are nodes all over the straw. We are able to make straws with a node, which means they bend and go all over the place. It's just highly unique, and they love it over there. So we're trying to find different markets to get in on and be on the niche side of it. But then again, there's a problem set for it. And when we go into a bay area and we are harvesting straws, reeds to make straws, it could very well be that maybe 1%, maybe 5%, we actually can do straws from, right? Because the different age group of the reeds. In a good bay, there could be 40%, but it means that we have a high waste. And we looked into that, and we figured out that, okay, we need to do something with that as well, because we really want to have a 360 solution to how we use the reeds. So we started a project together with RISE, the Research Institute of Sweden. That's why very interesting for the keynote. We've really been listening into that. So, ladies and gentlemen, as of yesterday, we have the first single-use plate made of 100% reed. Isn't that cool? And all of a sudden, we're hitting a market of $20 billion a year. There's $12 billion in coffee mugs made of paper that has just been labeled, as you know, as the worst product within food and beverage because it has those forever chemicals. And this one doesn't have anything of that. It will be impregnated with seaweed. So we are trying to turn it all around and see to that we have a market for the products that we are using, and we can use every single reed that we bring in. So this here will be has a project end in March. So hopefully we can turn it out and get some products out on the market as by end of next year. So we highly anticipated of this Jon Nurminen and the Baltic Reeds, and hope we can learn more about the situation for you guys. And please ask us. I'm here with my partner and colleague Tobias Lundin. So we definitely want to tell you and show you more on how we do that, because the big problem that we have in the future and right now as well is the way that we harvest. Because I look at the pictures everyone else have, and wow, we would love to have those fields of reeds. It seems very easy. We have deep bays and very difficult to get to, and we have a machine that works, but sometimes it works, sometimes doesn't. So I'm very much looking forward to that discussion, and perhaps we can find a way to work out and find machines that we can have on both in Finland and Estonia and Sweden as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for everyone. It was super interesting. Now we have a couple minutes for questions for Patricia, and John and Mikael is also online, so you can also ask about the panels. We have samples here as well. So any questions, please? Okay.
Hello, my name is Iiro Ikonen. I work in ELY Center for Southwest Finland. I was thinking about this in one presentation. There was this mentioning about this, how to get this machinery, agricultural machinery ongoing in the reed beds. I think this is very important bottleneck, how to do it. And I must say that we tried maybe 8 years ago to include also this reed cutting and this putting this organic material into agricultural feeds into agri-environmental system. And I think this is a thing that we must continuously try to include, even though the discussions were quite good, but in the end, it was not very, how you say, result oriented. So we couldn't get things very much ongoing, but the discussions went on and we could have some solutions, novel solutions. But I think we must continue this kind of things because a lot of money is in the agri-environmental systems, and to get the people who are working in the countryside in other business to get into this and this I think this could be future if we want so. And I was very happy to see that this reed plate here it was very nice, because I have been thinking myself that why don't somebody do this reed plates and forks and spoons and everything, this packaging material from the reed, because it I think nowadays it could be quite simple using present methods, and I think the market is good, and you can use this purifying the Baltic Sea and get the good results for biodiversity as well for this work. So it's quite easy to market, I think, to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess there is lots of development work still ahead of us in the machinery as well, but we have some solutions that will be tested. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll give the floor to Sonja then. One more question. Sorry. Sorry, Sonja.
Hello, my name is Örjan Östman. I'm from the Swedish Agriculture University. One question is, when do you harvest the reed for light clay and for building material? So in the keynote lecture here, it was in October, but for the other products, when are they harvested?
Who wants to answer about the harvesting time? I guess it's not during the summertime, but it's the dry winter reed that is used for constructions, but
Right. Yeah. So when we make straws, we have to have reeds that, in autumn when the nutrition is going down again and it becomes yellow and hard, you can have it in hot beverages and etc. So that's important for us.
For construction application, reeds should be in a dry form. When they ripe and they are in like yellowish, brownish color, then it's easy to process them.
thank you. So let's move on to the panel discussion, and Sonja, please.
Yeah, what kind of So it's Iiro Ikonen from Baltic, Pekka Järvenpää from Kekkilä-BVB, Reeta Huhtinen from Åland. Sorry, yeah, but they still get to introduce themselves. But please come up and have a seat, and you will get some instructions on how the mic works. Should I take this here? What's the pen?
bear with us just a couple of minutes.
And I'll just introduce myself here while they're saying I'm Sonja Jaari, and I work as the project manager for the BalticReed project. And I'm really, really happy that you're all here. And I think it's wonderful that we have a large audience also online. And now we'll start a small discussion about REED. Should I use that one or this one? Okay.
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 Just wait 1 second. I'll change the camera and I think
Okay.
that's as well for the people.
Okay. Is it? Yeah. Okay. It's very practical. Okay, so thank you everybody for agreeing to come and discuss REED with us. As we've heard today, REED is it can be seen as a problem that it grows everywhere and it covers all of our the view from our summer cottages, and it's good for biodiversity, and it's a plant that grows everywhere. And at the same time, it's also an excellent material for what we've seen for insulation, for products, for whatever. But there are a lot of problems with that. But at the same time, we would like to here in Baltic-Reed and in general focus on the positive side. What is, I mean, it's actually, are we talking now about the new biomaterial, the one that's going to sort of be the new plastic of the future? But first of all, I would like you all just to quickly give a quick introduction, your name and what's your sort of relationship to, how are you working with REED? Could you please, for instance, if you could start.
Okay, my name is Örjan Östman, and I'm a researcher at the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences, and I'm the principal investigator of a research project on reed harvesting and its effect on the ecosystem, and also evaluating reed as a feed for cattle.
My name is Pekka Järvenpää. I work for Kekkilä-BVB as a product development manager. So we are producer of mainly a growing media, which is like the landscaping soil, garden soil, potting soil, hobby gardeners, professional growers for food globally. And I work with the development of new components of growing media. So like everything you can use for that. And REED has been like slightly tested, so we know something, but it's like one part of bigger bunch of different like renewable grasses or fibers, as we call them.
Okay. My name is Reeta Huhtinen. I come from Turku Science Park. I work there as a network manager. I work in the bio and circular economy team. So our aim is to help the companies to grow. And when we talk about the bioeconomy, we have to find also new type of biomaterials we can utilize in the future, not only wood-based biomaterials, but some other biomaterials. So that's why REED is one important material.
Hello everybody, my name is Iiro Ikonen. I work in the ELY Center for Southwest Finland in nature protection section, and we have had in our center a long line of REED, multidisciplinary REED projects from the beginning of 2000 approximately.
Okay, thank you everybody. So now we know who are sitting up here. And now I'll have a quick first question to start this off. And I will ask you all to answer with a green if it's yes or red if it's no. So is it possible, in your opinion, to develop an ecologically sustainable, economically self-sufficient and valuable value chain on an industrial scale using REED as the material? Would you say that? Perfect. We have the right answer. We're all in the same room here, so we're all going for REED products. But what do you then consider to be the most potential characteristics of REED if we want to start utilizing this? And here I would like, for instance, Pekka, who has been working with this idea, to start just the discussion.
Yeah. So. Yeah. For us, it's like sorry, no quick wins, but like I'm seeing the REED as the physical material to use as a growing media component. So for me, it's the physical world, and REED has very nice like physical structure. If we think like it's being like chopped or composted, so it's about structure. So it's the porosity, air content, and the poor shape and this kind of like connectiveness if it use it as a growing media. And of course, it's like the other side is like ecological impact. So we can have the component which is like really like having positive ecological impact.
Okay, do you have any other comments? For instance, Örjan, what are the?
I mean, from an ecological perspective, reed are important as a protector or protection of shores. It's also nursery habitats for birds and fish. But the problem is that it has been probably overgrowing, or it's being homogenizing coastal bays and lakes due to eutrophication and decreased grazing of cattle. So yeah.
So we need to. I mean, it is possible to use it also. Sort of
yes, I think it's possible to use it to some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for my point of view is that the reed can be in the future to be used to replace wood. For example, in the process industry, where the wood is used traditionally, also the reed can be, as we heard today, can be separated in the three main fractions like cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin. And all those fractions can be further utilized, for example, in the textile industry, cosmetic industry, or in food industry. So I see this quite big potential in that sense as well, also with the reed.
Yeah. I can still add that reed is also aesthetically very beautiful material, natural material, and very, very nice if you make this, for example, reed roof, thatched roof, and constructions and biomaterials. And then, of course, this you can also take the nutrients out of the Baltic Sea by cutting reed. The nitrogen and phosphorus is important content to have this out.
Okay, yeah. Good, thank you. Yeah, it seems that we have quite a promising material, so to speak. But then we've also heard that it is problematic in a way that that's getting this actually value out of it. So which, because of the location where it grows and so forth, but which do you see are the biggest challenges that we have at the moment regarding the value chain, actually production chain, that we need to tackle, sort of in which direction should we go with this? If we want to ensure that we have a sustainable value chains using this material, actually, where is this?
Yeah, I can continue. There are a lot of, I think, bottlenecks at the moment. I think I have been working in the long lane of reed projects, and there are still the same issues that were in the beginning 20 years ago. And I think the one is the machinery. You mentioned there are not good enough machinery for all the purposes for cutting the winter reed and the summer reed. This is still quite a big problem, and there is not good this financial tools to solve this issue. This must be solved somehow. There should be some money, the bigger effort. I think if we were at the moment in China, that this would be solved already. I think that there should be more effort from the state level to solve the problem, because there are, for example, in Finland, there are over 1,000 hectares of the reed, and it's not very, very good for biodiversity because it's taking the place. So you must have this kind of multi-purpose planning of the coastal areas to find out the places where you can cut reed and find the landowners and the areas that must be left intact, and the areas where you can cut summer reed, winter reed, and so on. So good planning is one that is still missing in the most part. We have done it to a small extent, but these tools for planning tools are also needed. And of course, you must select a good product and to get it right. So
you mean both the harvesting tool and the planning tool, both of these should be actually addressed?
Yeah, I think they are both very important issues.
Any other comments on the value chains? Yes.
Yeah, I would also say that yeah, we call it like sourcing as where the material comes from. It's like at the moment it's like too complicated because we don't have the fixed harvesting chain, for example. So how to do the harvesting, and then like the early logistics is really difficult. When reed is like harvested and it's like close to the road, then it's like easier to plan. But at the moment, and also connected to the ownership of the material is because we cannot like calculate any prices, and so the first like kind of like sourcing chain should be developed, and then we could like talk about money, which is
Okay.
It's a pity that we also always have to work with money.
Yeah, but I think if it's products and industrial products, then it's money becomes involved. Yes, Reeta.
Yes, I totally agree with these guys here that the harvesting is very undeveloped, and that should be developed further. And like it was mentioned, also the technology, harvesting technology should be further developed. The harvesting areas, the roads, infrastructure, the loading places, everything. And then also the kind of the permits system to get the permission to cut the reed. I think that should be further developed as well. And everything should be done in before you start to do it. So good planning is also very important.
Okay, any further comments on this? No?
No, I have the same as this.
Okay, but and so then this actually links into it. My next question links into this quite a lot. Do you have any suggestion for support mechanisms, taxation, changes in the legislation, or things like this that you envision could be necessary for actually enabling a functioning harvesting and product development and so forth? So which are the main areas that should be addressed in the society for this, do you think? Is it Yes, please.
I don't think we should try to build value chains that depend on subsidies. We have done that so much in the past, and I think it's not good. So, for example, now we're trying to compete with other culture products that are subsidized, which makes reed products more difficult to get into the as a commercial product. So I don't think like subsidies is the right way. But when it comes to permits, and it's a hassle really to find. Usually, most people are positive to reed harvesting, but still you need to contact everyone. And in Sweden, we have the problem that there's a lot of water that is not determined who is the owner, and then you can't harvest there because there is no one to ask.
Okay, yeah, that's a bit problematic, of course. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I think the temporary support system could be in place in beginning, because I think these value chains have not very well developed yet. So we would need a little bit support to get these value chains, like a harvesting value chains, to work, to up and run. And that's how we should kind of also make it possible for the companies to be sure that they will have the straw available every year. So I think in the beginning, like the infrastructure and this kind of stuff should be kind of built up and also develop the technology. And after that, it would be running without the support.
Yeah, but that means you have to get value into it also for it to run as well. But maybe
all the kind of the value chains ready.
I agree on that. I think the launching supports are very important. There should be more this kind of launching supports to create reed cutting packages where you can big amount of reed, 100 hectares to 100,000 hectares. You should divide the coastal areas into zones and find all the places where you can cut winter reed, summer reed, and then put it to value chain. This kind of launching support are for sure needed. Otherwise, this is not going to happen in the big scale.
Yes, and I totally agree, and I think it's very important for the companies to be sure that they know when they are going to get this raw material and how much. So they have to know it. Otherwise, they cannot build the business around it.
Yeah, of course, very important. But yeah, I'm still thinking. Do you think it would be? Let's say, should it be in Finland, Business Finland, or somebody, or should it be more like innovation grants, or should it be which type of?
Yeah, I'm going to clarify my answer. That of course I think, since I'm a researcher, I think there should be research money for it. No, but I mean, when it comes to the implementation phase, then I think it should not be subsidized as we do with agriculture market.
Yes, I'm not continuously subsidized, but it should be something that you start and then.
Absolutely, I think we need to do innovations. Suddenly, some company can break the code and get the harvesting done. I think.
Yeah, I think it's
and I think also this kind of projects where we are now are important. This INTERREG project to find a good production value chains, live projects to get this kind of optimal ecosystem services, and so they're also very important.
I would put my money for the companies, for the piloting projects, where the real companies can pilot how they can harvest the reed, and the real companies can show how they can make the products out of it, and how they can get it on the market. So I think that would be kind of the piloting project for the companies. I think it's easier for like us working on the public side or at the universities to get different kind of research projects. We are quite good in applying those, but maybe for the companies we should need the specific support, at least in Finland.
Yeah, and then I suppose, I mean, just these sort of ecosystems where you have research organizations together with companies who would actually get support would maybe be an option also, where you could combine these two.
Yes,
so
yes.
That you don't have the opposite, that it's either or. So,
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Just like repeating myself and the others, that I see that now the situation is difficult because, like, for us as a company working with products, it's not worth it to develop products because we don't know about the cost of the harvesting, and for the harvesting companies, they are not developing the harvesting like the chain, as there's nobody to pay for it, and like no understanding about the real cost, what they could be, and then you like for the first years you had to like put coins in the machine for keeping it running before it somehow finds the lean way of the product chain, and then seeing is it worth it still, and then also considering that if the product, for example, is based on like one specific type of reed, let's say like harvested on winter time, or do we need it from like the summertime, and then it also affects on the ecological impact of the harvesting, and that also can have some value. So for society it would be good to like support some kind of like reed harvesting if it has good like ecological impact. But it's difficult to define like all the pieces like at the same time. So you have to fix some like protocol before that, and that needs money.
I mean, in Sweden, we know what target price we are working towards, since basically there's a market price for fodder or for feeds. So we know what we are aiming for to get there.
For the harvesting.
Yeah, for harvesting and the processing or for the final product.
Yeah.
But it's a quite simple product, of course, in this case.
Yeah, but at least then, I mean, you have a basic where you're working towards.
Yeah,
But I think that has been done in Finland also, that there is a sort of, at least that's what I understood. But that's, yeah, no, but it's, then I think especially also this, that you actually know what product, I mean, what raw material you're going to get for a company is probably extremely important. But that was very, but at least some support sounds like it would be required, but maybe not in the long run, startup money. And I'm thinking, I'm just thinking about this being a biologist. I'm thinking, can we see that there is a problem? I mean, if we actually start working big scale with reed, that there is an opposition between the ecological side and the economical side. Can it become a danger that we actually use too much reed, or do you think it's maybe this is for you to start?
Yes, I say there's a risk that we harvest too much and we lose the ecological functions of reed for both as a physical barrier for currents and waves, and also as a nursery habitat. So yes, absolutely, you can harvest too much, but there's a lot of reeds.
And I guess, I mean, maybe it can be tackled, I suppose, with planning.
With planning, yes. I think it's difficult to see that there should be too much cutting of the reed in the whole country's scale, because there are so much reed in difficult places. But of course, locally and regionally, it can be a problem. You must take account different issues, and reed is a complex. You must take into account the biodiversity and water protection and landscape and other needs of landowners permissions and state permissions and so on. So good planning is the key note, I think, in all this kind of multi-purpose planning that guarantees that this economically and ecologically viable network, optimal ecosystem service network, and stay.
Yes, I have also the biodiversity on my list. And of course, all the cutting, like it's done, it has to be very well planned in advance and understand the whole ecosystem where the cutting is done. And then on the other hand, if you think about globally, reed is the one of the most spread plant in the world. So globally, we have a lot of reed. So if we can develop some kind of utilization of this material, we may have the global markets as well. So I think that's one aspect of this.
I agree. I think, for instance, the paper place was very interesting in that sense. Yeah, that was actually my next one. I was going to ask with the red, green, and so forth. So that's it. But but do you think? I mean, for instance, do you think that today that we have any sort of especially excellent and promising products that we should sort of that you think we could develop and develop further, or do you think it's I mean, I think here today a lot of it was about building material, which there seems to be a boom in that. But any other ideas where you would personally think that this is something that you have?
Yes, in our BioDemo project, we have different kind of pilots with the reed, and we are trying to build these value chains for with the companies to demonstrate the use of the reed. And one interesting, of course, we have done a little bit with the cosmetics, with the straw. We have tested in the cosmetics and it's working. So cosmetics is one. And for me, very interesting thing is this, if you use the fractionation and then you get the cellulose, and that can be used to do textiles. So I'm looking for reed-based textiles in the future. So when they are in soap, I will buy them.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, bamboo is used a lot today for textiles, and they look a bit.
Yes. Yes, very good material also.
Yeah, and I think also, I mean, I think the fodder, for instance, today, I mean, it has been used. A lot of these have been used earlier, and I think we also.
Yes, talking about the Hawaiian style skirts. I'm talking like the textiles material.
Yeah, I mean, we have a study, or we try to develop, or we don't develop. We studied how good the reed are as feeds for cows and horses. So of course there's a potential as we see it. And also what hasn't been mentioned so far is, I think, is biofuels. You can through degradation of the microfungi and so on, degrade it into fuels. The cost is, of course, unclear.
And I also believe this utilization of INTERREG products, there are good examples already today. You have had insulation plates and reed straws and so on. But you must not forget that also our fields, cultivated fields, need that organic material. It would be nice to have kind of system and supports and things ongoing, that this organic material from the coastal areas would be transferred into fields, because they are losing the material all the way now. And it's very good for water protection to have this structure of the cultivated fields better as well.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, for us, that's part of the thing also, that we, of course, at Nurminen, we're very interested in this, especially this removal of nutrients from the sea. So in that sense, I fully agree with that. And if it could replace some fertilizers as well, it would be excellent. So, but I think we can have one final question, which is actually after our discussion now. So, do you think it's? Do you think this is? I mean, is this the new plastic? Is this something that we will? but a positive one that's ecologically sound, that we can actually use, and it can be. It's yes, no now.
Now your name is Finnish plastic. It's a good marketing name.
I think in the future we have to look at all different kind of raw materials, bio-based raw materials. We have so many things ahead of us, so we really have to take seriously all of these cards.
Yeah, and it was more because plastic was more of a, but
yeah, I think that reed can be like one part of the solution. Exactly. So we won't have something like that covers all our needs. Yeah. I'm afraid.
And I think this is what we actually heard in the first presentation as well, that there are a lot of them, and it's just a palette, and we have to use them all. And I think this is just a good one. So now we're just hoping that we will be able to continue with this project, and hope everybody else will be supporting us in this, and we can continue the collaboration, because I think there are quite similar challenges that everybody was seeing, and there are probably solutions also that we can that we can find, but we just have to work together, I think. So it's so thank you very much for this. And
Thank you.
yes, yes.
In my we are working on another aspect of this. We have a very expert soil scientists in my institute. They are working on to use reed as a soil resource. We in one project we are contributing the reeds in the peatland, waste peatland areas to restore the soil back again and reduce the carbon emission from there. And that could be a way towards more commercialized production of reeds in future. And if we have a commercial production of reed, not in the seabed or any other areas, in degraded land, if we cultivate the reeds, that could be a future potential supply chain for reeds. And we are working on that areas as well.
Yeah, I think the fertilizers is one important topic in this big picture as well.
So thank you, very interesting. My name is Mika Stios, by the way. I'm working as a professor at the University of Borås in Sweden, and been working for 30 years with developing different materials from biomass. Anyway, I mean, my question is, are there any figures about what is the productivity of reed? So if you have 1 hectare, how much do you get in kilogram, or are there any rough estimates? So how much do you get from 1 hectare of maybe it's very different, or is there any estimate?
Yes, there are estimates. You get between 5 to 10 tons. I hope I said it right now, per hectare. Yeah, in fresh, in summer harvest, green harvest, you get 5 to 10 tons. And you seem to, if you harvest above ground, you seem to get approximately the same over years.
And then obviously when you harvest in the fall or during the winter, it's of course less mass because you lose in the natural processing.
Yes. And if you harvest until now or a couple of weeks more, I don't think you actually lose that much in total biomass. They don't seem to retract the water until later. So, but it's, yeah, I think it's the difference is you harvest water.
So it's basically the water that is lost in the fall and in the winter. It's water that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but of course, with the water is also the phosphorus and the nutrients, but they make up a couple of percent, or not even a percent, I think. So it's the water that makes the difference.
Very good, thank you.
Any further questions?
I have one question from the chat. This is a bit provocative question. Why do you think it's important to switch to biomaterials? The carbon stored by the bioproducts is not taken into account in the carbon footprint calculations.
Who is?
Go ahead.
Unclear how much when they degrade, how much becomes sedimented or goes down into the sediment, and how much is respired as carbon dioxide. I must say, I don't really, on the top of my head, I don't know any studies on that. Maybe there is someone, but I don't know how much actually you gain by letting them be. But it's a good question. Okay, you may. Yeah.
There are 2 types of greenhouse emissions. One from non-renewable materials. When you burn it or release it, it accumulates in the atmosphere, and that is one kind of carbon CO2 release greenhouse. There's another kind of, we call it biogenic carbon dioxide. When we are burning the biomass, renewable materials, they goes back in the atmosphere. But when biomass regrow again, it can come back in the system again. It's a full cycle of biogenic CO2. So there's a big difference. So that's why if we are using biogenic or renewable materials, the carbon is recycling back in the pool again and again. But in case of fossil fuel based materials, if it release, it not get back in the system. And that accumulate everything in the end. And that's why when we are burning more fossil fuels, then there is more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. I hope they get that answer.
I can just add that when the reed goes into the bottom of the sea, it starts rotting and creates CH4 methane gas, which is much worse greenhouse gas. That's also why we want to get rid of it then.
I can add that as we are using biomaterials for growing media, it's that by using them we are replacing peat. So I guess it makes sense. In like, yeah, even not thinking about how it's calculated in like calculations.
Yeah, and I can also say that most of the biggest treatment areas in southern Finland are in Natura 2000 areas, and it's important to manage the Natura 2000 areas in the right way, and good planning is important. Of course, some of the areas must be turned into the coastal meadows because of the Habitat and Bird Directive demands, but there are huge areas also which can be used for utilizing reed, and they also create mosaic for the birds and dragonflies and so on. So, and also the overgrowing of the bird lake is very big issue in the Finland at the moment, and when you cut the winter reed out, there is not material coming every year more, so it's very important also to manage the Natura 2000 areas, and these kind of solutions are on the way in Finland.
Any further questions? And I think it's, yeah, there's one in the, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, hi, thanks very much for all the good presentations. I was wondering, since you mentioned that maybe reed in the future would be the new plastics, is it possible to get it to grow further up on land? There was some mentioning of 2 million tons of clay, for example, that could be utilized perhaps in order to create an artificial environment where reed could grow, and it would be more simple to harvest as well. Would that be a good idea or a bad idea? I was thinking more of the economical benefits.
Yes, I think when you think about the plastic, the production of the plastic is so huge in the world, and then we are talking about the materials which could replace the plastic. So I think reed is one material which could be there, but of course the volumes, if you think about the fossil-based plastic material, you have fossil raw materials still a lot, and then there's already this change how you can get this material to the industry. They are fully developed, and now we are talking about the material which is the reed amount is much less, and these harvesting technologies and the value chains have not developed yet. So it's not going to happen like this, but step by step, I think. And it can be only one section, replace one section of the plastics.
Yeah, and one possibility would be, I think, in the old peat production sites where they stop the peat production, there would be created kind of wetlands where the reed could be used, and this could be maybe good for the water protection as well if you use right kind of techniques. But in general, it's not good if you compete with the food production in lands with reed, I think.
I know that in some countries that they harvest reed on wastewater treatment. So you basically let out water in big lakes or dams, and then remove the water, and you can harvest the reed.
I know that has been tried also actually in close to some what do you call them? Gruvor.
Mining.
Mining, yeah, mining, sorry. Yeah, but maybe it is a possibility, but maybe not the best possibility, because I think exactly what you were saying, that the land can be used also for other purposes, but instead of growing reed. But and for our purposes, to remove the nutrients from the sea, it might not always be the best. Start growing it again. But okay, I think we have to move on in the program if we want to have coffee, because there's still one point before. So I thank the panelists. Thank you very much. It was very nice.
And now Sonja will give us a short introduction to the BalticReed project and how it's going to try to answer these questions and development needs we have just heard.
Yes, thank you. Let's wait for the slides.
Yes.
And then after that, everybody who's here will get the coffee, and the ones who are online will get to make their own coffee. That's the way it is. And then we can also have a nice discussion probably about reed and what we can do. But okay, as I've said already, I'm Sonja Jaari, and I work as the product manager for here at Nurminen Foundation. We're located in this house here in Finland, and our main aim is to try to protect or to save the Baltic Sea, actually. We're mainly working with removing nutrients. So, but could you have the next slide, please? And now this is one of the projects we're working with. This is the BalticReed project, and it's an INTERREG funded project. It will go on for 3 years. It has started this year in May, and it will continue till 2026. And what we will do is we will try to actually develop this viable reed-based production change that we were just talking about. And of course, it's very unlikely that we will be able to solve this problem within 3 years. And I think this is something that we need to work on. And there might be something that comes up, but before you have a product on the market, it might take a little bit longer than 3 years for several of them. But still, we'll do all that we can together with the partners, and we will try to actually remove as much nutrients while getting new production chains. Next slide, please. So this is what we want to do. We want to improve the state of the Baltic Sea, and this is done by harvesting reed from the shores and thereby removing phosphorus and nitrogen. We'll be doing it, as I said, from 2023 and 2026. It's an EU-funded project. This INTERREG is EU money, and the total budget is about 3 million euros. Next slide, please. We have so what we're doing actually is we have the background is that at the moment there is way too much phosphorus, and especially phosphorus, but also nitrogen that is being sort of flooded out every year into the Baltic Sea. And what we want to do is we want to reduce this and we want to remove it. So if we look at the reed, 1 hectare of reed contains about 5 to 10 kilos of phosphorus and about 80 to 100 kilos of nitrogen. So by removing this reed from the shores, we can remove and actually taking it away from it, not leaving it there to rot and flow out again, but by removing it and using it somewhere else, we can actually get rid of this from or reduce the amount that actually runs out. And also we will improve biodiversity, because as we just heard, I mean, there's too much reed in some places, which actually makes it into a monoculture, and which makes actually decreases the biodiversity if you have it in too large areas too thickly. So this is one of the more the biological reason. At the same time, as we've also heard today, we have an excellent biomaterial that can be used in many processes, in many products, and that is what we're going to try to do. So we will be cutting and collecting reed from overgrown coastal habitats in 12 sites in Sweden, Åland, and Finland. I will get back to who I'm talking about in the next slide. And then we will develop viable uses and reed-based production chains. And by actually trying to involve actually the producers and trying to involve a lot of stakeholders, we're hoping to ensure the sustainability of the results and hoping that this in that sense will continue also afterwards. So this is not, we will not be the ones who are setting up new factories here at any of the beneficiary beneficiary organizations, but we will be working with the other stakeholders and trying to actually find solutions to this. And are hoping that you will all help us in this, and we will all work together to actually solve this. I don't know if we should call it a problem or a possibility. And at the same time, we will also be looking at, I mean, for instance, we heard here about the planning and problems with the planning and actually finding places to cut the reed and how we can actually make this process easier for those who are working with this. Because at the moment, I mean, this seems like a big bottleneck and a problem and something that makes this sort of the whole value chain a bit difficult to actually get to work. So for us, it's this, I mean, just working together with stakeholders extremely important. Next slide, please. And who are we then? I mean, we are 6 organizations. You can all see them here. We have representatives here in here. So it's we are your Nurminen Foundation, and we're the lead partner of this. We're coordinating this. We have the County Administrative Board of Östergötland from Sweden, Race for the Baltic from Sweden, the ELY Center. I'm not even going to try to get the whole English name, but from Southwest Finland, it's and then the government of Åland, and then Aalto University, and all of us are going to be working a little bit with reed harvesting, not out in the field, but with sort of trying to coordinate it and plan and find these pilot sites. Then some of us will be working more with finding new uses for the reed and more with the trying to figure out products, and while others are working with coastal planning and legislative solutions. And you can all see here from, I mean, it doesn't make sense for me to read this out to you because but these are the partners, and I have to say I think we have an excellent partnership where we actually have good representatives from all areas, and I think we will all together be able to actually really go forward with this. Next slide, please. So this is a horrible slide. It's too much information, but this is actually what we will do. So what we will do is we have 2 different work packages. One is the nutrient removal and ecosystem restoration, and the other one is finding sustainable solutions for harvesting and utilization of reed. So in practice, we will be mapping the coastal areas and finding pilot sites for harvesting. And we will create these blue zones and some floating islands in Sweden where we will develop new techniques for actually removal of the nutrients. And these you will hear about maybe later on in the project when we have more information about how it works, but it's very interesting. At the same time, we will also try to establish the good ecological preconditions for harvesting. We will work together with harvesting companies and try to figure out where the biggest problems are and think about how we could try to solve these together, and what if there are good measures being done in one of the areas which could be implemented in another one. So there will be a lot of communication and collaboration on that part. Also, we will start looking at doing some business analysis and value chain analysis for different uses of reed. Partly for existing products, but also then we'll try to develop and test and pilot new innovations. Part of this will be done in laboratories in some of the partner organizations, mainly small pilots, but at the same time we're also happy to actually work together with other stakeholders too. And then we can try to work and think about how successful pilots from previous projects could be used in the future, and if these could be, I mean, there are ideas that we could actually take in and continue with. But how this goes, I mean, it all depends on where we are and how, I mean, which products we find and so forth. Also, one extremely important part is this institutional development and learning, because we have 3 areas. We have 2 countries in principle, and then but Åland is sort of in between country. So I mean we have 3 different areas where we're working, and we want to exchange experiences, see what's working in Sweden, what's working on Åland, what's working here, what are the reasons why something is working in one area and not in the other one. Is there something we can learn from each other? Because I think that's also a huge step forward. It doesn't make sense that we're all in the same, very close together, working in similar environments, and everybody is doing the same things in parallel. So there's going to be a lot about communication, about stakeholder and target group involvement. We'll be arranging workshops and trainings, and I think I've asked everybody here if they agree to be on the BalticReed mailing list. So we'll inform you all about these, and we would be very, very happy if you participate in them also, and if you come with your ideas. And of course, we'll be working towards the Central Baltic with fulfilling our output indicators, or the indicators we have for the project, which is mainly how much phosphorus and nitrogen we're going to remove, and how many new pilots we're going to be working with 12 areas, and also how many new products we might develop or be involved in. But in principle, what we're working with is nutrient reductions and improved water quality and restoration of coastal habitats, while we are also developing the value chains. So this is it's quite a simple package, but it's a lot of work. Next slide, please. And that's about it. As I've said, I'm Sonja Jaari. If you have anything you want to talk about, discuss, read, have any ideas that you want to bring, just contact me or look at we have our home pages. Actually, it's you can get them through the Nurminen Foundation. I should have added on this slide, but at the same time, I'm really, really happy for any suggestions, ideas, discussions, anything. And now I think we will go on to actually, for the last half an hour, we'll have coffee and some cake, and hopefully a lot of discussions, a lot of interactions. But otherwise, I think that's it on my behalf. Any questions? Or we can take them at coffee. And then also, but yes, the plates or the examples, please have a look at them, the ones that Sam had said from the building materials, because they're actually, and try and smell them, because they're actually quite nice, and they're made from reed. So it's okay, please. And for those online, yes, thank you so much for joining. And it was, I hope you have, if you have any questions, just send them in. And also for you, just contact me anytime, or somebody else in the project. Thank you. Bye-bye.